Well, what's going on, everybody? My name is Russ Collins, and I am the CEO of ozarkmixdj and Ozark Picks photo booths right here in beautiful Northwest Arkansas. And I am so glad that you're joining us today. This podcast is really all about providing you the resources that you need when you're planning a wedding in Northwest Arkansas. And let me be perfectly clear. About 35 to 40% of our clients right now, we do about 130 events. We're going to do about 130 events in 2022. About 35% of those people are from out of town. They've never visited Northwest Arkansas ever, don't have ties here, but they're coming here to do their wedding, and we love it. We think it's amazing. And so this kind of started as this resource guide for them when they were asking a lot of questions. And I was going to put together these resources to begin to point people to on our website. But then as I thought about it and as our team started talking through it, we said, you know what, let's just design a show around it. Let's pull a podcast together and highlight what we've got going on here in Northwest Arkansas. And then that would be something that where we could showcase our work and other people's works and our friends. And so here it is. And I'm so glad that you're here today and you found us. And I would love for you to subscribe to our channel. We're going to provide the best resources that we can in planning a wedding here in Northwest Arkansas. You want to follow along with that. We've got a ton of tips and tricks that we're going to be able to share. You're going to get to know my team and a bunch of vendors that we love and that we've grown in relationship with, and we can refer you to. And so that journey will happen here on YouTube. We'd love for you to subscribe to our channel. And then secondly is we've put together really a couple of different resources for you as you're planning your wedding here in Northwest Arkansas. And we send out a weekly newsletter about what's happening here in Northwest Arkansas, about tips and tricks on planning your wedding. And so if you'd love that guide, you can check it out in the description below, and we'll send that email to you, and you'll get on the list to be able to know what's going on here in Northwest Arkansas. And there's a lot going on. This place is unbelievable. It is the best place to get married, in my opinion, in the country. It is beautiful. There are so many things for your guests to engage in when they're here. And certainly if you grew up around here, you know that Northwest Arkansas is the place to be. It's the mountain biking capital of the world. It is the outdoor capital of the world. And I've been everywhere. I've lived in the West, in the Southwest. And I love this place. I think it's beautiful. There's water everywhere. If you're a water junkie like me, there's plenty to do. And I don't need to sell you because you're here, because you've decided that Northwest Arkansas is the place where you want to get married. And so glad you're joining us on this podcast today. And so I wanted to talk about a couple of things that my team and I were talking about this week in, an email that we were putting together for our own personal clients. And that is, why should we choose a local vendor to be a part of our wedding? This is a conflict for me because we do weddings in other places. We go to different states. We've now been sort of a lot of places as of late. And I love doing weddings in other states and other places. And I know a bunch of my friends who are photographers. They do weddings in lots of different places. But this has come up because recently we've just had a lot of clients who have hired planners or people that are on their core team of vendors. And by that, I mean a planner, a photographer, a DJ, a rental company. And some of those as of late have been out of town. And it has actually taken a lot of work for us to all get together and pull these weddings together. Now, they have been executed so well because there were excellent vendors on these teams. But I would be lying to you if I didn't say it really took a lot of time and effort on our team's part to be a part of those weddings. And there's no doubt we would do it again because we love our clients. We love what we do, but it would cost that client a little bit more. And here's why. I love that the wedding industry in and of itself has just reached so many heights. Our company is a product of the wedding boom being what it is. And there's no mistake about that. I make that publicly clear. But you get a couple of things, and I wanted to talk about that. You get a couple of things when you hire a local wedding vendor to work with you in your wedding. And this could be anywhere. This is if you're getting married in Hawaii, if you're getting married in Mexico City, if you're getting married in Florida, or if you're getting married right here in Northwest Arkansas. There are a lot more pros to cons of hiring a local wedding vendor, but I want to give you three of my own observations. And the first one is it seems obvious, but not so at the same time. And you think about this when you're a vendor like myself. But there's really not a price tag on your vendor being very familiar with the area. Because they can offer you so many resources. When you ask a nonchalant question of, I wonder where I could have my bridal party get ready as long, if you're not getting ready at the venue, or I wonder what I could do for my bridal party at this point in the weekend, or I wonder where my guests can stay on the wedding night. I wonder what my guests can do during the week if they're coming in from out of town. You know what? Those answers can be answered so quick by someone who is familiar with your area. They have a lot of resources, and most of the time they have done a good job of curating some really great relationships with other people. And that in turn is just going to give you all those resources because they've developed those resources. Okay. And it's hard to put a price tag on time spent in researching all that stuff. You and I both know, like, if you start getting on Google and you start Googling places to go in a city that's unfamiliar to you, you could be taken down this. If you're like me, you could be taken down this crazy rabbit trail and you get lost. And then ultimately you don't make a decision. Okay. And so what a local vendor and their familiarity is it helps you make decisions quickly. Okay. And when you're planning a wedding, you do not want to wait around on making decisions because your checklist becomes really vast and you begin to be overwhelmed by the planning process. And I cannot tell you how many people I talk to when they're in month 6 of planning their wedding and they're just like, Russ, I'm just so ready for this to be over. And I begin to ask them, okay, well, have you decided on this and this and this and this? And then they get more anxious because they haven't decided. And so I credit that a lot to sometimes they have vendors who are just unfamiliar with the place that they're getting married and they just can't help their people make a decision. So the first thing, and I would say, is that your vendor is super familiar with your area, and that is a resource to you. And so number 2 is, I touched on this a little bit earlier. Again, I don't think that you can put a price tag on relationships that local vendors have with each other. I am in a wedding venue at least once a week for an event. That is really how my calendar works out. If not more, sometimes that season is crazy. And I get a chance to develop relationships with lots of vendors. We have incredible ones here in Northwest Arkansas. But I also know the ones that are inexperienced or that maybe offer certain services, but have in the past not been able to fulfill those services. I also know my own personal restraints of what our company can do and what it can't do. And I recognize that there are certain things that are outside of our wheelhouse. We have clients that look to us to provide lots of different lighting options or lots of different dance floor options. And I have personal friends that I call to help out in that situation. And we end up partnering together and creating an incredible event. And the only reason why I'm able to do that is because I have relationships with these vendors. And so when you hire a local wedding vendor, you also hire the relationships that they have. And that's invaluable, folks. It is so invaluable, because when you have a question or you have a need or you have a parent or an aunt or whatever that is needing a certain thing or gives you an idea and you want to pull it together, you can look no further than the local wedding vendor that you've hired, and you can ask them, and they can give you a recommendation because they have relationships. It is just so crucial in wedding planning right now to have relationships within the wedding industry. Another reason why is because there is an influx of vendors that are coming into the market, and we were one of them several years ago, that may want to sell a certain level of service, but are just not there. And they do a really good job of advertising. And when you have a local wedding vendor that's in your corner, you're able to ask that wedding vendor and say, hey, I'm needing this. I know your company doesn't provide that. Who would you recommend? I've been looking at this company. And that person can be like, yes or no, based on their experience, and they can give you a reason why. Y'all, that is invaluable. There's not a price tag for it, which brings me to my third piece of advice in a pro for hiring a local wedding vendor. And that is your time. It's your time. I was told by a mentor of mine several years ago that really the only thing that we own in life that is really, really ours is our time. And what we give that to is our own power. Okay. I choose to give mine to wedding couples who are getting married, and I give them my time, right? I'm there on their wedding day. I'm there to consult them. I'm there to build their set list. I'm there because I want to be there. And that's what I give my time to. Maybe you love planning a wedding. Maybe you absolutely love details, and you want to give your time to researching and all those things. But if you're in the majority of people who do not value that kind of thing, hiring a local vendor gives you your time and your resource that is so important to you back. Okay. And the reason why is because of the top two, because they have relationships and they're familiar, and they know that that this company can do this and do it in a great way, and this company cannot do that. Okay. Or you have this dream, this big vision, and there's only a couple of folks that can fulfill that for you. And here they are. You don't need to go to Google and waste your time. These are the folks. And there's an interesting thing, because a lot of my friends who are veteran wedding vendors here, they've been doing it a long time, and they're so busy that, to be honest with you, they've just not had the time to invest a ton of time into social media, into making this crazy website, which they know that's something that they need to work on, and they're working on it. But right now, their presence in those kinds of things is just not there. And you wouldn't know if they were, who they were without my recommendation or some of my other friends' recommendations. And so you might get a lower quality product because that local vendor is not seen online or can't be searched through Google. Well, you don't have the time to really vet that and find that out. And that's where your local vendor comes into place. They can provide you that sort of insider trading information, if you will, and make that experience for you so much better. Now, this is a ploy to all of my vendor friends who are watching this right now and are not doing what they know they need to do on social media and Google Maps and all the things. We've got to get better as a wedding industry in that regard. But hiring a wedding vendor that is local will help you elevate your event experience, and it'll give you all your time back to where you can devote that to something else. And maybe that's, building a playlist for somebody like me. And so with that in mind, you guys, if you're looking for a DJ, if you're looking for a photo booth here in Northwest Arkansas, we would love to provide that for you. But I also have a lot of friends that I know that have other companies that do that. And I would love to send you that information as well. And so you can jump into the description below. We might not be the right fit for you, but I do know that there are some incredible companies here in our area that I can point you to. And that's just what this local vendor family community does for each other. We just, there's a bunch of professionals that are networked, that work together here in Northwest Arkansas, that is making it what it is. And I'm just so grateful for my friends who do this. And so let them be a resource to you. If you're getting married outside of Northwest Arkansas, make sure that your network of people that you are hiring for your wedding are familiar with your area, that have relationships, and are going to help you save some time in your wedding planning process. That's all I've got for today. I hope it's been helpful. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you've been seeing my hat. My son plays football for Shiloh Christian. Let's go Saints. We're going to kill them this week. All right. Y'all have a good one. We'll see you next time.